Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we're going to head down to London once again and we're going to revisit Beavertown Brewery, who are of course one of the best known English craft breweries these days, and this beer is a collaboration that they did with Firestone Walker from over in Paso, Robles in California. I've not reviewed any of their beers for quite some time actually, so definitely looking forward to this one, but we're going to have a taste today of the West Side Beavo. Now this one is an Imperial Lager or Imperial Pils, however you want to call it, India Pale Lager I think you can term this beer as well. It comes in at 6.5% and overall on Rate Beer it had a rating of 87, so it should be a pretty interesting beer. The IPL isn't a style that you come across all that often compared to IPAs and stuff like that, and apparently the two brewmasters met at one of the beer festivals over in America, became quite friendly. They were both talking about how they wanted to explore this style, so they decided to do it together, and this beer of course is the product of that. From what I understand, this one is a kind of derivation of the Beavo Pils from Firestone Walker, which is meant to be really nice, but both breweries have a good pedigree and I'm sure it will be quite an interesting beer to try, so I hope you guys enjoy my take on it. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery quickly. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, it's linked to my other reviews that I've done both from Beavertown and from Firestone Walker. I do need to do some more Firestone Walker ones because I've only done one or two. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for both my American beer reviews and another one for the English ones. Those are constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Beavertown Brewery first off then. So Beavertown Brewery was founded back in December 2011 by Logan Plant and Byron Knight in the kitchen of Duke's Brewing Q in the de Beauvoir area in Hackney in London. And Beavertown of course is the old Cockney name that's given to this particular area of the city, but the brewhouse was located opposite the Smokers of Barbecue restaurant, and initially in the early days they were only running very small 650 litre brews. But in March 2013 they moved out of their home at Duke's Brewing Q and into a new brew site at Fish Island in London, and since then, because the demand for the beers grew so big, they moved once again to a new 11,000 square foot facility which is in Tottenham Hale, where they also have their tap room as well, and they're continually expanding their operations at that site because they do have the room to do that. And like I said, Beavertown are probably one of the best known and best performing English craft breweries these days. They do some pretty damn nice stuff, I have to say. I've always enjoyed the beers I've had from them. Probably my personal favourite is the Gamma Ray, but the things like Tropigamma and the other things like that they've done always tend to be very, very good as well. So if you haven't tried some of their beers already, I highly recommend that you do. Like I said, all the links to the brewery and stuff are in the description below. If you keep an eye on these guys on Facebook, you will see all the things that they're up to. But anyway, on to Firestone Walker then. So Firestone Walker were founded back in 1996 and they're based in Paso, Robles and also in Beavertown in California. But this company was originally owned by two brothers-in-law. So it was Adam Firestone, who was the son of Brooks Firestone, one of the local politicians, and there was David Walker, who had studied brewing at the University of California at Davis. And in the early days they expanded their brewing infrastructure quite fast with the purchase of SLO Brewery in Paso, Robles. But they also brewed the Nectar Ales for a period of time, having bought the company in 2005. They later sold it to Total Beverage Solutions in 2012, and then this company reverted to its original name of Humboldt Brewing. But what was quite interesting about these guys was that in the early days their beers did have quite an oaky taste to them, and this was due to the fact that they were using oaked casks for fermentation process, and they actually continue to use a Burton Union fermentation system where they use oak barrels, and they're only one of two breweries in the world to do this apparently. So the Burton Union system was developed in the 1830s, and it's basically a series of oak casks that are connected to a common trough with a series of connected by an open series of pipes, from what I understand, and this allows the yeast foam to be expelled without leaving huge amounts of head foam, and it also has a system that separates the expelled beer from the foam and then returns it to the casks. So it's a really quite interesting system and something that really did make the Firestone Walker beers quite unique. In 2015 though, Firestone Walker was sold to Duvel Muurtgaart from Belgium, and that same year they did begin canning their beers as well. But from what I understand, the quality of the Firestone Walker beers has stayed pretty good, and of course that's one of the things that you do tend to get in Belgium and Germany. Even though some of these quite well-known breweries are big companies, they do let the smaller ones that they own get on with it, and they do make sure that the quality quality of the beer stays quite good. So like I said, Firestone Walker, I think the only thing I've reviewed from them so far is actually the Double Jack, but we are getting their beers a little bit more readily over here in Europe now that they have this partnership, or that they're part of the Duvel Moortgart group. So hopefully I can review some of those for you in the fairly near future. I will try and make sure to pick up 1 or 2 of them the next time I'm in my beer store. But as I say, if you want to read more about Firestone Walker, do check out the brewery website in the description below. But that's all I'm going to tell you for just now. But yeah, let's get on to the tasting of this beer itself then. So as you can see, there's a good mixture here of the Firestone Walker artwork and the Beavertown one, of course. Going by the writing that's on the can of this one, it's talking about 12 fluid ounces. The Americans, of course, like to use a really weird system for measuring liquids rather than just using millilitres like everybody else for some reason. But it says here 12 fluid ounces, and this one was brewed at Firestone Walker, so it isn't actually a Beavertown can. It's actually been imported from America, which is quite surprising considering I got it in Brewdog in Stirling. But yeah, I really like the artwork on this. As I always say, you do get great artwork from Beavertown. There you can see the nice kind of psychedelic sort of style there. The Firestone Walker ones are a little bit more kind of classic, if you like, but I do like how they've done that kind of combination of it. But really nicely presented. As I said, a 6.5% Imperial lager. So without further ado then, we'll get it out and get on with the tasting. So yeah, that looks nice. When you open the can up, you can smell some of these nice biscuity sweet malts and a good bit of that hop as well. But as you'd expect from this beer, I was actually expecting it to be a little bit hazy, to be honest with you, but you can see it's poured a nice kind of clear golden straw. There's some nice juicy fruits coming off this too. But if I just bring that up to the camera there, you can see pretty much clear all the way through. If I put my fingers behind that, you can see pretty much completely transparent. There's a solid finger of a frothy white head on that, some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But there's some really nice juicy fruits coming off this just as I'm moving it around. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. Ooh, that's nice actually. It's got a little bit of an almost tangerine note to it, but I think mango. I do wonder if there's some citra in there actually. To me that smells quite like citra. But there's a few elements that make me think maybe there's some mosaic as well. It does have a little bit of that tangerine orange to it, but it does lean definitely towards the juicy fruity side of things, but definitely some mangoes. There's a wee bit of lychee and almost gooseberry character, and that's really what makes me think that there's a bit of citra in here. Underneath that though, you can smell the typical sort of biscuity, bready malts that you'd expect from a kind of lager pilsner style beer. And there's a nice, you can smell a little bit of an almost sweeter biscuity note there. But there's some floral aromaticity from the hops. It's got a wee touch of spiciness and some lemongrassy notes too, but really overall this one's leaning towards the nice kind of fruity, juicy side of things. It's got a great aroma that. It's not too punchy, I would say, nowhere near as punchy as an IPA or something like that, but of course you're not going to get that from a lager beer. But it does smell really nice. As I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you actually have a taste of it. But let's get stuck into this one then. So this one is the Westside Beavo, a collaboration Imperial Pils, IPL, Imperial Lager, whatever you want to call it, from Beavertown Brewery in London in England, and Firestone Walker from Paso, Robles over in California. Let's get stuck in. Slange. Yeah, that's pretty nice. It's really interesting this. As I say, the IPL isn't a style that you come across all that often, but when it's done well, you know, it's a really nice kind of sessional beer to have. As I've told you on a few of my videos, I'm a huge fan of the Munich Helles and the Munich Dunkel and the Pilsner beer. Of course, I have actually started to get more into my kind of Pilsner beers and lager beers since I went to Pilsner Urquell in the Czech Republic, because, you know, Pilsner Urquell is of course the sort of classic Pils, and it's got that hoppy kind of kick to it. And this one, you know, it's interesting to me because this one, it has the same sort of feel as the Pilsner Urquell to me, but it's just got that more kind of New World hoppiness to it. So it's really interesting actually, and you can feel that there's a bit more alcohol in it, of course, as well. Yeah. That's a good beer. I'll say straight off, certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this one again. It's really quite nicely balanced. You know, the malt base in this, as I was saying, is kind of what you'd expect. In the middle of your palate, you can feel just a little bit of that pale malt just going right across the middle of your palate. You can feel that sort of graininess from the Pilsner malt as well. There's a wee bit of biscuity sweetness right in the middle of the palate, but as the flavour progresses, you start to get a little bit more of that sort of grainy character coming out, which is nice. And I do like that. You can feel that there's a wee bit of alcohol warmth in this one, so that just lets you know, yeah, I'm a lager beer, but I'm Imperial. But yeah, that's nicely done. I do like how it has... It's interesting, this one, because it does have more hops in it, but it doesn't quite have the IBUs that I was quite expecting from it. I thought this one was just going to be, you know, hoppy as hell, but it does have some IBUs, and you can feel that on the sides of your palate, but the juicy character from the fruits really almost reins it in a little bit. It just gives it that nice kind of wet sessionability, which is quite interesting. But yeah, it's a really nice beer. If you haven't had this one already, have a go at it. I really want to try the Beavo Pils now and just see how close this one is to that, because it's, as I said, I think this one is supposed to be a kind of derivation of that with a bit of Beavertown influence. But this is nice. So yeah, on the hoppy side of things, in the back corners of the palate, you can pick a wee touch of earthiness up, but you can feel there is a wee bit of there is a slightly resinous character to it, but for me, I think it's more of a kind of dank, floral, aromatic note that's coming out of this one. You can feel that bitterness just spreading along the sides of the tongue as you come further forward. And you can just feel there's a little bit of floral aromaticity on the front corners of the tongue, then round the very front curve of the palate, you've got that nice little bit more lemongrassy kind of flavour, and that goes really well. And just behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that nice little oily bubble where the juicy fruity characters start to come out. So you can feel there's a little bit of grapefruit in there, but on top of that I think there's a wee bit of mango, and I do reckon there's a wee bit of an orangey citrus in there as well. And as you go further and further into the aftertaste, you've seen how long it was since I took a sip of that, you do start to get these kind of more complex tropical fruits, a little bit of that kind of lychee or gooseberry or something like that, the kind of common things that you get from the Citra. I really do suspect there is Citra hop in here. Citra's a beautiful hop, of course, one of my favourites. But yeah, really, really nice this. Give it a go if you get a chance. If you enjoy a good lager beer, and you enjoy craft lager in particular, if you enjoy American hops and you enjoy Pilsner beers, this one is pretty damn good, I have to say. I would say, you know, in terms of the rating that it has on Rate Beer, this is another thing. I always say take Rate Beer with a bit of a pinch of salt, because there are various things. One of the things, of course, is that it is American dominated and things, so there are a few biases in it. But for me, I think 87's maybe a bit low for this. I would have this beer probably in the low 90s in terms of the Imperial Lager. It really is quite well done. The only thing that it maybe doesn't quite cover the alcohol as well as some of the other ones do, but I like that. I like having a wee bit of alcohol warmth when it comes to an Imperial Pils. But they've certainly done a good job of this. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I'd say it's light. I'd say it's quite a light-bodied beer, this one. It does have a little bit of heavier character to it because it is Imperial. The carbonation does have a good bit of crispness, which is what you want from a lager. There's a wee bit of oily character, but mainly for me it's quite wet. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness. The malt base has a little bit of that kind of dry graininess to it, but there is a wee bit of sweetness there, and there's some nice juicy fruity character as well. So it pretty much has kind of everything you would want, and when you've got two breweries like this involved, you know, you should expect a quality beer, and they have delivered that. So yeah, I would say if you enjoy Pilsner Urquell, this is kind of, for me, the way to sum up this beer is it's like Pilsner Urquell. It has that bitterness that you expect, but it's a little bit higher in alcohol, and it just has that kind of New World sort of kick to it. So I think that's a good way to sum up this one, actually. So yeah, so we'll leave it at that for this. So this one was the West Side Beavo, a collaboration between Firestone Walker in Paso, Robles in California, and Beavertown Brewery from London in England. So a really nice IPL, this one. I'd love to see a few more breweries having a go at these, because if these beers are done right, they certainly can be really good. But once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are, both from Beavertown and from Firestone Walker, and hopefully I can review some of those for you in the near future. But until the next time, slàinte just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Westside Beavo from Firestone Walker and Beavertown Brewery. Slàinte.